The regular season is in the books. The play-in tournament is here. How are the Bulls going to do? Your guess is as good as mine. They've got the Toronto Raptors coming up Wednesday. The game is on ESPN. Win or go home. Everything's on the table here, but we're going to look back on the 82-game regular season on today's episode of Believe in Bulls here on the Believe Network, presented by BetOnline.ag. I'm your host, Nick Schultz, alongside my partner, former Bulls bench mob member and Tennessee Vols, C.J. Watson. C.J., it's a new season. Play-in tournament is here. This game is a win or go home. No pressure, right?
Yeah, no pressure and 0-0. Just take the lumps as they come and just try to get a win in this on the road.
It feels nice knowing who they're going to play because last time we talked, we didn't know if they were going to get Atlanta or Toronto. It looked like Toronto, but you can never be too sure. Bulls Raptors coming up Wednesday night. Like I said, we're going to preview that game and the terrible matchup that it is for the Bulls. We're going to look back on the regular season because it felt like a lot of same old the regular season, but there's still a lot that we can get into after I tell you about our friends at betonline.ag. BetOnline remains your number one source for all your basketball betting this season. Get analysis of every play, prop, and point at BetOnline. You'll find the latest odds, bracket, contest, team matchups, and game trends at BetOnline. Updated odds for everything from the play-in tournament on through the playoffs. We will go through the NBA Finals. BetOnline is your college basketball headquarters this season. Are you crazy enough to bet on the Bulls to win it all? You can bet on it at BetOnline. I would recommend not doing that. But if you really want to, as I pull up the odds here, what are the Bulls' odds to win the NBA Finals this year now that they're in the play-in? As we record, the Bulls are plus 50,000 to win the NBA Finals. That is tied for the highest odds. If you want to bet on that, head to the website today or use your mobile device to sign up and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Be sure to use our promo code BELIEVE to receive your bonus. It's BLEAV to get that 50% welcome bonus at BetOnline. It's where the game starts. Now, look, I successfully picked John Rahm to win the Masters. Lightning's not gonna strike twice if I pick the Bulls here. I wouldn't bet that, but if you want to, we got a good promo code for you to help you out. And as a reminder, we have an official t-shirt of our show. Jordan Pippen 98 The Last Dance exclusively at shop.believe.com. There's a lot of great stuff there to support all the shows on the network. You can also buy one of these hats. I've got my coffee mug sitting right here as well. Repping the brand today. I feel like I didn't plan that, but maybe I did. I don't know. But you can get it all at shop.believe.com. But to support our show, Jordan Pippen 98 The Last Dance is the official t-shirt. The link is in my Twitter and Instagram bios. It was an interesting regular season. A lot of ups, a lot of downs, few ups, a lot of downs. The Bulls finished the year 40-42. I wanted 500, but they can't have everything, I guess. Lottery odds were impacted by the last couple games, and overall, just general thoughts on the end of the regular season besides it going way too fast.
Yeah, like I said, just went way too fast. I think the high note for me, they ended the season on 2-game win streak. Is probably about the biggest positive I can feel like I can go with. But yeah, other than that, I just want to see him playing, like I said, playing a good brand of basketball, going to this playing game. So hopefully they have some momentum, going to Toronto and trying to, get a win in a tough environment that's going to be. I'm sure the crowd is going to be crazy there. Toronto is a different animal. I feel like when you're playing on the road, so it's going to be tough for them to get a win there. But I think it's slightly possible.
As you said, the last couple games of the regular season, Bulls beat the Mavericks in an abomination of a basketball game, 115-112. I didn't watch. I told you before we started recording, I didn't watch. I was not going to watch that game. I'm glad I didn't. There's more than just bad basketball in that as well. There's an investigation going on into the Mavericks. Then the Bulls close out the regular season with a 103-81 victory. Why Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, Kobe White, Nikola Vucevic were all on the court so long, I have no idea. But you know what? Nobody got hurt. It's all good. We're all good. Like a bunch of little Fonzies here. Everything's cool. So 2-game win streak to get some momentum going into a really tough matchup with Toronto. If you're the Bulls, you'd have rather had Atlanta, right? A lot of guard play, a little smaller. Toronto is a bad matchup.
Yeah, Toronto's a bad matchup. I think that they're long, they're athletic, they're young. They get out and run, transition, and they're up to down. Their starting five is pretty good. I like them, and it's going to be tough for the Bulls to get a road win, but I think it's possible. I think Vooch has to be very dominant in this game and demand the ball. If Vooch doesn't play good, they don't win this game. I think the main thing for me is just to get Vooch established early and often, and just keep feeding him and make him double team and let him kick it out for threes, and drives and kicks.
You hit the nail on the head. Keep feeding him. If he's got 18 points in the first half, do not start chucking up threes in the second half. This is one of the things I want to focus on in the regular season. They did this a lot. Vooch should be hot. He'd be, around the rim. He'd be hitting some jumpers, maybe, be rebounding the ball well. Everything would be looking good. Then all of a sudden, you wouldn't see Vooch anymore because they'd be busy shooting threes. And I know DeMar with the mid range and Kobe White with the threes. And I get that you have to play catch up sometimes, but you've got a guy with a hot hand who's just cutting through like a hot butter knife, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like I said, yeah, you got to keep feeding them early and often. And for me, it's just try to keep the game close. It's going to be a different style of basketball. I'm sure the ref's going to let them play. It's going to be the playoffs. It's physical. So well, the ref's going to let a lot of things go. So just get the ball to Vooch, get the fouls racking up early, and like I said, just let them double team and triple team them, and kick it out for threes and drives and kicks, and then you can start shooting your open threes in mid range and stuff like that. But don't just start feeding them and then start jacking up threes, like you said, just to jack up threes. Take some efficient, good shots.
Exactly. And we're going to have more of a play in preview here later in the show. We're going to look at like what matchups terrify me besides all of them on the Raptors side. But, the regular season, 82 games into this thing, it just feels like yesterday you were starting the show with opening day. Here we are. There was a lot that happened, even though it felt like, they didn't win 4 games in a row. I thought they would. I had hoped they'd win 4 in a row once. They did not win 4 games in a row at all in the regular season. It was so much of the same things. It felt like we've said it a number of times on here. It felt like they never learned from their mistakes. And that scares me going into like the play-in tournament and potentially the playoffs is how are you this far in and you didn't learn from your mistakes?
Yeah, for sure. It's been one heck of a roller coaster season, up and downs, more downs than ups. I feel like, but like you
Yeah.
said, they haven't really learned from anything. These close losses or bad losses, I feel like they would have learned a lot from, and but they still just kept doing the same thing over and over. I think the addition of Pat Beverly kind of settled them down a little bit, but hopefully they'll figure it out in this playing game because, like I said, it's one and done. If you ever learn from those mistakes, you can't all of a sudden just pick up and learn now. So hopefully they'll learn from it, and they can use that in this game coming up.
We joke about there being a lot of downs this year, and there were. Like, I mean, there were bad losses where, like, how are you losing to the Orlando Magic? How are you losing to Houston at home? Houston had won no road games at that point. Like, I can pick it, I can go down the schedule and tell you that was a bad loss. That was a bad loss. That was a bad loss. You had too many of that. But one of the bright spots, let's start with the bright. Patrick Williams, brightest spot of the year, I think. Playing all 82 games after missing so much of last year, that's huge for his development. And you saw him throughout the year progress and become more of a shooter, and his defense got stronger. I feel like it was already strong, but
Yep.
to me, he's the brightest spot of this year.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely think he's gonna have a breakout year next year. He's playing with more confidence, and like you said, his scoring ability you can see, and defense has always been there. So I definitely think he's gonna be a great two-way player coming up next year and even in the future.
Yeah, and it'll help too, depending on any roster changes. If he can kind of emerge as the guy, and I've said it before, I don't hate the idea of him leading the second unit. I think that's a good way to give him some leadership and let him be one of the primary scorers on that unit instead of putting him out there with, ball dominant guys like DeMar and Levine and even Vooch to an extent. He's a great passer, but you still got to get him the ball. Like, let Patrick Williams be Patrick Williams coming off the bench. I thought that was a good move by Billy Donovan after the Patrick Beverly trade.
Yeah, for sure. Just let them play free. You want those developing guys to play free and not worry about getting yanked out of the game if they're making one or two mistakes, or taking a bad shot. So just let him, play free and roam around. And like I said, he's getting better. His confidence is skying high right now, and hopefully he can take that into the playing game.
And one of the other things as the year went on, Zach LaVine's looking like Zach LaVine again. Early in the year with the knee coming up the surgery, wasn't quite sure what you were going to get, especially after the max contract like that. When you start off slow after signing that type of contract, yeah, there's plenty of reason to be nervous. But you know what? He settled in. He found a groove. I think Pat Bev got in his ear as well after the trade. Like he came along well, and he kept things afloat. It seems like
Yeah, yeah.
they could be much worse than 40 and 42.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, his knee definitely was, I think, a big issue, and just taking those months, couple months to get back right, and to gain some momentum, to gain some, energy. I think, and getting that knee back healthy was definitely a major key. You can see how more explosive he is, later out throughout the season. And for me, it's just for him just to be a better leader and to be more efficient. Not taking so many, as I would call them, jack up threes, but taking threes within the offense. I feel like, and within rhythm.
And don't just shoot to shoot. Like,
Right.
rhythm is key. I mean, how many times have you heard me say that's a bad shot? Like, I can
Yeah.
count them. Well, all the games, like, Zach, what are you doing? Zach, what are you doing? It seemed like things got better as
Yeah.
the year went along later in the year. It seemed like he wasn't just oh, what are you doing? Like now everybody has those moments where you're like, I wouldn't have taken that shot. But,
Yeah,
it seems like that number got cut down enough. And yes, he signed the max contract. Zach LaVine is still a younger player in the league. Like he's not, you're not talking about a guy who's pushing 32 here, who's been around a while. Like Zach's been around a while. He's still a young star. So
yeah,
he's got
yeah.
to, there's an adjustment factor there too, right?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. He definitely has still a lot more to learn. That's why you want to pair him with older stars like a DeMar DeRozan and Vooch, guys he can learn from, guys he can learn the star scene from role from, and those guys are going to help him, throughout the future. I feel like so. I think he's doing great so far. Like I said, it's going to be a big test this playing game to see if he has learned from any of his mistakes. So like I said, we'll see. It's going to be a lot of adjustment period, and we're going to tell a lot from this one game just to see how their future is going to go.
I sure hope he's learned from this year. I mean, I feel like I hope this whole team has learned from this year.
Right.
Constantly the turnovers and offensive rebounds, and that's the thing that scares me the most about Toronto is the offensive rebounds. And
Yeah.
and I go back to Vooch. One other note here: I mentioned Patrick Williams playing all 82 games this year. Nikola Vucevic did as well. You had both guys play 82 games, and it's first time in Vucevic's career. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
First time Vooch has played 82 games in his career. Obviously, it's the first time Patrick Williams has. But the fact that Vooch did, I mean, in a contract year to play all 82 games, it doesn't matter how you do. You're making a statement there, especially when you play at a high level. He didn't make the All-Star game, but he still was a key part of this team.
Oh yeah, for sure. When you play all 82 games, that's tough to do, man. Especially in today's basketball. It's physical, it's brutal to travel, all that kind of stuff. So just playing all 82 games just means you're durable. And your team can rely on you. And like I said, it's big for him. That's going to be a big boost for him. I'm sure going to negotiations for contract time. So it's all kudos to him, and hopefully everyone else stays healthy also.
We're going to save the contract talks for the season recap because I mean, even if they don't lose at Toronto, I think they're going to lose sooner than later. They're not going to make the finals. Sorry, 50,000 plus 50,000. I don't think they're going to
No
make the
faith in
finals. But I mean, I'm blaming the sports books. This is the sports books. This isn't me. I'm going this. The team with the worst odds with the Bulls is the Oklahoma City Thunder. I'm just
Yeah,
saying. I'm
it
just
makes
trusting
sense. It makes
Vegas.
sense. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I got to trust the sports books. I mean, I trust them even more because I picked John Rahm to win the Masters. I've never picked the outright winner of a golf
yeah.
tournament. So like, I'm just fitting facts here.
Right.
But and if they were at full strength, maybe this thing would be different. And that's been the storyline all year is the health of Lonzo Ball. Yes, we talked about like, okay, we were thinking he wasn't going to play this year early in the year. That proved to be the case. He's out most of next year with the surgery, but with this regular season, I'm not going to use it as an excuse. It's not a crutch. It's not going to be, oh, they could have been in the playoffs instead of the play-in if Lonzo wasn't hurt. That might be the case, but that storyline was there. What's going on with Lonzo Ball, the uncertainty, and then we finally find out toward the end of the regular season he's going to be out all of next year. So that entire situation, looking back on that, it's just tough. I mean, there's no other way to put it. It's brutal.
Yeah, it's definitely bad. It's probably disheartening, for him as a person and a player, and then also just for the team, with him never knowing when he's going to come back. Always having that little dangling rabbit, saying he's coming back or he's progressing, but then taking two steps back. So it was definitely tough for me, just as a fan, just watching and hoping that he would come back and help his team. But being said, hopefully they could have made a move sooner, maybe if they would have made, if he'd have known I'm not going to come back to the whole year, they could have made a move sooner to maybe help the depth of this team.
Yeah, and I mean the Pat Bev addition was he's not going to be your true point guard. He's not going to be your
Yeah,
Lonzo type, your pass first, your 3 and D. He's going to bring the defense and the tenacity. He can pass the ball too. He's a great rebounder, but you needed a guy who could at least fill in with the 3-point shooting. And maybe again, like you said, maybe they'd have had those opportunities if they would have found this out sooner. But with the
right.
uncertainty and everything, that is just going to be one of the biggest things with this year. Because I mean, you played the point guard position in the NBA. It doesn't matter if you're the best player, fourth best player, or you're the fifth best player out of the 5 guys in that starting lineup. A true point guard, a good point guard like that, ties
Mhm.
the entire team together.
Yeah, yeah, it helps out a lot. It's going to help your chemistry. A point guard is just another extension of the coach on the court, and playing that position is definitely tough. I think it's the hardest position in basketball to play. But like I said, if you have one of those guys on there that can demand and control your team, knows who to get the ball to and in what situations, that's going to help your team and benefit them, 100% more.
And that's what Lonzo did. He had the high IQ. He could set up any pass, any shot he wanted. I
Yeah,
mean, the way he saw the court, and that's something that you saw a little bit at UCLA. I feel like. But even as he got comfortable in the league, settled into a role, and fixed that damn shot of his, like he got more comfortable with his shot, so he was able to distribute more. Like, you saw his game coming together. That's why this injury is so brutal. And now, and this is going to be part of our season recap discussion as well. Looking ahead, you need a point guard now. You thought you should have had one. Well, things aren't going as planned because of the injury. You find yourself with a hole at the point guard position, and that could be key in this play-in game too.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. It's definitely going to show in this playing game. I feel like because on
Yeah,
the other side they have Fred VanVleet, who is to me a great point guard. He can lead the team, he can score.
Missouri
Maybe might be
Valley represent.
yeah, maybe might be a little undersized, but he's very dominant in his position. So it's going to definitely show in this game.
And I know that Valley comment's going to go over well with anyone who went to Loyola listening to this because Wichita State's not the Valley anymore, but he torched the Valley when he was there. I mean, watching Fred VanVleet, that was before I got to Loyola. When I got there, Landry Shamet was their point guard. So that
Yeah,
was after VanVleet was there, and Landry Shamet, he's playing for the Clippers now. I can't keep track. I think he's with the
Suns, I
Clippers
think.
now. Is it the Suns? I
Yeah,
can't keep
Suns.
track
Yeah,
of it all. He's bounced around a little bit. But Fred VanVleet, you went to Wichita State games. You knew you heard two names. You heard Ron Baker. There's a name,
yeah,
and you heard Fred VanVleet. Like watching his career going from because he wasn't drafted. He was an undrafted free agent, and now he's
undrafted. Yeah,
signing this big contract with Toronto. And he came up in trade rumors. Then he wasn't in trade rumors. He's got the contract, and Toronto's kind of in the middle. Like there's a lot in play here, but he's one. He can torch you in
yeah,
multiple
yeah.
different ways. He can torch
Oh
you.
yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. It's gonna be scary. I think that's one of my key matchups. I don't know how Pat Beverly is gonna guard him or who's gonna guard him, or maybe Caruso might throw a bigger guy on him, maybe. But it's gonna be definitely it's the Bulls' best interest to hold him down, hold him under 20 and 25 points.
Yeah. And that leads to the point here looking at the lineups. Billy Donovan likes to go small, and there's nothing wrong with a small lineup. I like the idea of small ball, pace and space, run the floor. I think like people talk about the Lakers and how the Lakers are going to do, and I know I always make fun of the Lakers on the show. It seems like, but they're Kendrick Perkins out here saying I think the Lakers can win the NBA Finals. That might be the case, but if you play fast enough, you're going to wear them down. Like
Yeah,
you got a small lineup. If you can wear down the taller guys, the bigger guys, it gives you an advantage. So I don't hate the idea of going small, but Toronto, they're all big, they're all athletic. I don't think you
yeah.
can beat them with a small lineup. So the reason I bring this up is my question to you: do you start Alex Caruso or Patrick Williams in the play-in game?
I mean, for me, I gotta try to maximize their length, their height, and also their scoring ability. And with our scoring ability with the Bulls, we lack 3-point shooting, which is definitely the key. So, I mean, I don't know. I would start Alex Caruso just to keep the way it is, and I like bringing Patrick Williams off the bench, just to contend with those other guys they got coming off the bench also. So, like I said, yeah, I would start Alex, just keep it the same way it is, and stick with my guns. If we go out losing, we got to go out with a fight.
I think you also need the defense of Pat Bev and Caruso together. Like I
Yeah.
think that's one argument for that. But I also get the side of Toronto's huge. You're
Yeah,
not. Like it
yeah,
I get that. Now I'm not going to go out the deep end and say Vooch and Drummond together. I had my fun with that during the regular season. That's not a play-in playoff lineup. You
right.
don't mess with that unless you're desperate and there's foul trouble. Like don't put those I wouldn't put those two there together. Like
Yeah, yeah,
I think if you can if you can get Caruso and Pat Will on the court together, I think that would be
yeah,
real
yeah,
nice. But that's
yeah,
not you're not going to bump Patrick Beverly out of the starting lineup for that. Like in the game
yeah,
with matchups, that's going to be something I'm watching is where Billy Donovan goes with the starting lineup to combat the size and that athleticism. And oh, by the way, you have to stop Fred VanVleet too.
right. Yeah, 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 and Siakam. So I think it's definitely going to be a tale of the coaches, playing, chess, not checkers. So whoever can do that the best, I think is going to win the game.
Yeah, and I mean Nick Nurse, that's a weird situation there. His name's coming up in coaching rumors. I think I heard him linked
Yeah,
to the Rockets. Like
yeah, yeah.
he's still got a job. He's not done
Right.
coaching this year. So I'm like, did I miss something? Is Nick Nurse gonna be gone? Is his contract up? Like I don't know what if I might have missed something somewhere. And I think let's detour here real quick. A little sidebar. The Rocket situation with Steven Silas. He never had a roster that could compete. I
Yeah.
mean, that's just I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah, me neither. And Coach Silas is one of my assistant coaches when I was at the Warriors. I love Coach Silas, and they just gave him a bad hand. Obviously, everyone wants a head coaching job, but I mean, I don't know if he Should have taken that because it was a no-win situation really. But hopefully, he'll get. I'm sure he'll be on someone's bench next year. But yeah, that was a no-win situation in Houston. It was never going to work out or pan out.
Yeah, you never had a good roster there. So the fact that Nick
Right.
Nurse has been linked to that position's like that's where, and there are a couple other names. I've heard Kenny Atkinson come up. I've heard Mark Jackson come up. It's like all
Ime
these
Udoka
names.
also.
Ime Udoka is going to
Yeah.
be in every opening. You're going to
Right.
hear, oh hey, this team's interested in Ime Udoka. You've
Yeah.
heard there's what 3 openings now. Every one of them I've seen Woj tweet. Yeah, Ime Udoka is expected to be a candidate here. Like,
Right.
well, yeah, that's to be
Of
expected.
course.
Like even
Right.
with everything that happened in Boston, Ime Udoka is going to be a hot commodity from a basketball
Yeah.
standpoint because that was an internal thing, I believe. I don't think that was
Right.
not a league involved thing. So he's going to be if any team is going to want him. Like, but
Yeah.
that
Yeah. For
Houston job
sure.
is one to watch for sure. Just with the amount of talent they have, they're going to have another top pick this year. Like, that's them and Orlando. Houston and Orlando are the two teams I'm watching for the future with the young talent they've got, and they're going to have more picks this year.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Both those teams are teams to watch. They're all young. They got definitely a lot of great young talent on that team. I feel like they both just need to learn how to play basketball. They don't really know how to play basketball yet. Defense, help defense is terrible. So like I said, they just need to be taught the X's and O's of the basketball game, the NBA basketball game. I think that will help them out a lot, and I'm sure they'll get better in free agency and in the draft, just like you said.
Veterans are going to be the key for those two teams. Get some
Yeah.
veteran leadership in there, and it's going to go a long way, which is why I, once again, don't know why you get rid of Steven Silas when you do, but that's neither here nor there. Let's get closer to home with the Bulls. This play in game, we talked about one and done. Billy Donovan has compared it to an NCAA tournament, and you played there with Tennessee, one and done. You either win or you go home. Now the other playing game is not like this. That's why if you're playing for seeding, we'd be having a different conversation. You'd have 2 games. For the Bulls, you have to bring your best effort or you go home. So the NCAA tournament comparison is what I want to focus on. Is
Mhm.
that how you look at this playing game? Because obviously that's only been within the last couple of years. You never played in the play-in tournament,
Right. Yeah.
but that type of concept, is that accurate?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. It has to be accurate. You want to go in with the best schemes and everything that their coaches and coaching staff draw up. And you want to go in with the best plays, 4 or 5 plays you have, the best, 9 or 10 guys you have in the lineup, and that are gonna, be able to switch and do whatever else you need to do. But that's definitely the mindset going into it's one and done. If you win, you obviously continue to play again, but if you lose, you're done. So you try to go out and throw everything at them you can that has worked, maybe in the previous games, and don't do anything that hasn't worked in the
And
last couple games.
for the love of everything that is good in this world, no 20-point deficits in the first quarter.
Yeah,
Enough with
just keep
that.
it close, man. Just keep it close. I feel like they'll have a chance. If you don't keep it close, it's going to be over.
Don't play this. We're coming all the way back from a 20-point
Yeah,
deficit. That's a dangerous game right now. In the regular season, you can get away with it. I know
right.
that's how you beat the Grizzlies. I understand that it was the most exciting win of the year. We even said here, that's fantastic. Don't ever do it again. It was like the Willie
Right.
Mays Hayes catch in Major League. Hey, nice catch. Don't ever blank and do it again. Like,
Right.
don't.
Yeah.
It was fun. It was cool. You had your moment. No more.
Yeah.
You've got to come out firing. No slow starts. And that's one thing you have to impart if you're Billy Donovan. None of this slow start stuff. Like I could have said 5 other words there. You can fill those in however much you want. I mean, you know how those locker rooms can get. You can fill
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
any
Yeah.
word you want there. You played for Tibbs. I don't want to
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
how he'd be right now about
Oh
talking
no.
about slow
Yeah.
starts and getting this team ready.
Yeah. Yeah. Tibbs was going to be ready at every second. Like even a week before the game started, Tibbs was already ready. So it was definitely these playoffs games are definitely high intensity. Like I said, they just got to go in there and play fearful because no one is really counting them in to win this game. I think so. Let's go out there and play.
Guilty. Guilty as charged.
Let's go out there and play. With no fear and just go out and leave it all on the court. And I think that if they do that, they'll have a chance to win, and that's all you want at the end of the day.
Yeah, if this was the Hawks, I'd feel better because you control Trey, which that's another thing we're gonna talk about after the season too. There's big decisions looming there, but you control Trey, control DeJounte Murray, like they're
Yeah.
smaller guards. Toronto is so long and athletic, and the Bulls went 1-2 in the regular season, and one of those wins came on the second half of a back to back. I don't like their chances here. I don't know what the money line is or anything, but looking at the matchups, like we said, I don't like this matchup at all.
Yeah, like I said, it's going to be tough. It's a tough matchup for the Bulls, I think. But like I said, they just got to pound the ball to Vooch, get him going early and often, and like I said, just control, take efficient threes, and just keep feeding Vooch the ball, make him make them double team and make them, kick it out for open threes and driving kicks.
Yeah, exactly. Bulls, according to Bet Online, this is as of Tuesday evening. The Bulls are 5.5 point underdogs plus 185 on the line. So they're not like heavy underdogs, I'd say. I wouldn't say Toronto's a heavy favorite. I mean, they're minus 215. So it's a little bit of juice
Right.
there. But I mean, even it's not going to be easy. They've proven us wrong before. Like they've done this
Yeah, yeah.
a lot this year where they've had these games where, oh, they're not going to have a chance and they go out and they'll win by 15. Like
Yeah, yeah.
they do this. This would be a good time to. But we also go back to my favorite game, which is the lottery odds. If you make the playoffs, you're out of the lottery.
Mhm.
So there, I know you at the play-in tournament, go win. You figure it out later. I get that attitude, but
Yeah.
it's always that thought is always there of you're sacrificing the chance at a draft pick because that if they end up out of the lottery, if they don't have a chance at the top four, you don't have a draft pick this year. It's just one of those things.
Yes, it's a gift and a curse. But like I said, for me, it's just go out there and just win the game, play as best as you can,
Oh,
and
for sure.
the chips, let the chips fall where they may. And like I said, hopefully they can do that. They can have the right focus and the mindset going to this game because all you need is one good night. Someone can get hot, and stay hot, and that could be the end of the Raptors' night.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not saying they pull a Mavericks and go throw the game because that's basically what the Mavericks did in that game. I mean, that I talked about that abomination of a game before we wrap up here. 115 to 112 was the final score. Dallas did not play half its team. Like, I mean, they
Yeah,
were actively trying to lose that game for the lottery odds. And Luka only played the first quarter and then I think one sequence in the second quarter before he got pulled. And the NBA is investigating. Depending on what happens with that, if the Bulls were to get bounced in this play-in game, that I don't know how that would impact lottery odds. I don't know how it would impact what the NBA is going to do. Like, there's a
right.
lot in play here, and there's a lot of factors. But most importantly, and from a player standpoint, I'm with you 100%. If you're Zach, if you're Demar, if you're Vooch, you're just going out there and going to win a ball game. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
leave the front office, leave the trade, leave the draft stuff, leave that to the front office, and leave that to talking heads like us to talk and vent about on the air here. But
Right.
I'm with you. If you're a player, you're going out to win. Don't do any of this Mark Cuban stuff like that. If he was
Yeah,
even
don't do
involved in
any.
that, I shouldn't say
Yeah.
that. If he's
Um,
even involved, I should throw that out there. But you get what I mean. Don't do any of this Maverick stuff where you're throwing a game.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Definitely don't do that. Mark Cuban, I think, just has a lot of money. He just says, forget everybody, even the NBA, which I love. He has a great mindset. It's always fun to watch and fun to see him coming on the court,
Yes.
and trying to contest with the scorekeepers and stuff like that. But yeah, the Bulls just got to go out there, focus, positive, and like I said, just keep the game close. If they can keep this game 2 to 3, 5 points game, anything can happen, and they have to definitely out rebound the Raptors. If they don't do that, then they'll definitely lose.
Yeah, I'm with you 110%. So this game tips off Wednesday night, 6 p.m. Central on ESPN. ESPN gives the Raptors a 57.7% chance of victory. And I told you what the money line was. Bulls are 5.5 point underdogs. Regardless, we will be back here Friday. It'll be either a season recap show or previewing the next play-in game. One of the two. We'll be back here because there's always going to be something to talk about. We're entering talking season. And no matter what, there's that Trae Young situation in Atlanta. You've got coaching carousel coming up. A Bulls assistant has been linked to a couple jobs as well. We'll talk about that in the coming days. But all in all, one and done, CJ, like you said, this is going to be a really interesting game.
Yep, it's gonna be fun to watch. Great atmosphere in Toronto. Just gotta get it done, Bulls. Let's go.
We're going to put a bow on this episode. That's a wrap for today's episode of Believe in Bulls here on the Believe Network, presented by BetOnline.ag. Use our promo code BLEAV, 50% welcome bonus at BetOnline. I'm getting choked up over here. 50% bonus at BetOnline with our promo code BLEAV. And buy our shirt, Jordan Pippen 98, The Last Dance, shop.believe.com. Again, the link is in my Twitter and Instagram bios. CJ, what do you say we do this again Friday, win or lose? I don't know what we're going to talk about, but we're going to have something to talk about.
Yeah, hopefully a win. So I can't wait.
Yeah. And I'll sit here and whine and complain about the lottery odds if they win. But it's all fun though. It's a fun time of year. It's better than sitting here after the 82 games going, okay, we're done. Let's watch the other teams play. At least we get
Right.
one game
Yeah.
watching the Bulls play. I mean,
Yep.
it's better than nothing. But we'll see everybody later this week. Enjoy the basketball, and it's a fun time of year. Playoff basketball is here, kind of.
Yep.